Welcome to another JuiceMotoParts tutorial. And something I've been reading a lot about, something I've been getting message about in terms of tech support, is whether to use this new head from a company, German company called Puch. They manufacture an engine with kind of a similar bolt pattern as the typical motorized bicycle two-stroke engines. And I've been asked whether, or I've been reading as well, whether people should use them or not. And in this video, I'm going to give you our 2 cents on exactly what the download on these Puch heads. As you can see, we have one here, and I must add that it is honestly a work of art. Like, the machining in this is beautiful. Just by weight difference, you can tell this one's probably, the Puch is probably 1.5 to 2 times more aluminum than the standard slant head HT engine. The standard motorized bicycle engine. So you're getting maybe twice as much aluminum. It's also nicely machined, and twice as much aluminum also means that in terms of heat dissipation, you get a lot more. This has so much more surface area, which is something to consider in terms of the cooling capabilities. You get a good deal with this, and I believe, I forget, this was probably $30–40 of shipping that it can be had for that price, which is good. But there's a dark and secret side to purchasing these Puch heads, as I like to call it. And yes, I do have a syringe and some funny looking colored water in the background, and no, they're not drugs or anything. But what I'm going to do here is to show you guys a visual representation of the volumetric differences between these two heads. And to just put in perspective, what you're going to see right now is, well, I'm going to explain it after I do this little quick demonstration and experiment to explain why the Puch gives certain results and why the slant head gives certain results. So first, we're going to start off with this. I have this leveled, this Puch head leveled here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our syringe. It's a 5cc syringe, and we're just going to fill it up to about 5 cc's. And seems just about right. All right. So then, what we're going to do is we're going to just add this carefully measured 5 cc's in. And we're gonna keep adding until we see it line around. So this 5 cc's has already gone inside there, and we're gonna fill up another 5 cc's. All right. Right. So now we're gonna use our little pick here just to spread the water to make sure it's even. It's not missing anything around the corners. It needs a little more. Alright. Seems like we have, this seems to be reasonable, as you guys can see right here. So it's nicely lined. And out of this syringe, I put approximately 2.5 cc's is what's left in this syringe. So just by some quick mental math there, we use approximately 5 plus 2.5 is 7.5. So we use approximately 7.5 cc's to line this, to fill up this entire head. So now we're going to just remove the water, and we're going to see how much cc's it takes to fill the other one, our traditional slant head. Just want a quick wipe. So here we have our, what you would find on slant head kits and whatnot. It's nothing much. These both have the same spark plug, and they're both, slightly fully tightened in. All right. So according to my level, everything is set on that end. Now we'll start filling it up again. So that's 5 cc's in there. Okay, this seems just about lined. If you guys see that. Alright, so we use one 5cc, so we use about, according to my mental math calculations there, we use about 9 cc's, 9 to 10 cc's. To fully line this one. So as opposed to the Puch head, which used approximately 7 to 7.5 cc's, this one uses 9. So automatically, you know, we could assert that that there's, you know, a pretty big gap in terms of the volume that each of these can hold. So what does this mean in terms of performance? Some you know, so some would say that because this Puch head has something called a squish band, and that is, if you notice the way it's designed, it has a dome shaped in the center, and then there's kind of like this concave thin part here, thin part of it, which helps with the flow, it helps directing the flow of combustion inside the head. Some people say that because of the squish band, you'll get a lot more performance. So the squish band theory in itself is it's true in terms of gaining performance, but kind of sizing these two against each other, you have one that holds 7.5 cc's, right? And you have another one that holds between 9 and 9.5 cc's. What is this? You know, what does this mean? Essentially, you're looking at something like a 20% or so. The slant head having 20% more fuel that it's able to hold, you know, between 15 and 20% more fuel. So what that means is 15 or 20% more energy will be, you know, going inside of this slant head. And yes, you can have a counter argument to say like, yeah, maybe this one, maybe the Puch head efficiently burns it and you get more power. But I mean, at least from our experiments, using the Puch head, for the average user, it is probably not recommended. If you're just going to buy it and try to bolt it on, it's completely not going to work. Because this has, you know, 7 to 7.5 cc's worth of volume inside of it, that's going to shoot your compression ratio up. So when you do take a compression test, you're going to end up with, you know, PSIs like 190 and 200, and you're going to wonder what the hell is going on if you're still using a traditional one gasket. So what that means is that you're going to shoot your compression ratio up, which means your engine is probably going to be prone to detonation, and you're going to get ridiculously high heat ratings, just like we did when you use you know, an IR thermometer. So in essence, what you're going to be forced to do, you know, if you have some kind of knowledge of engines or, you know, of anything, is probably put some more gaskets, put some more head gaskets, or get a thicker head gasket to compensate and reduce the compression of reduce the compression ratio of the engine. But then when you start doing that, what will happen is the more kind of gaskets that you decide to add, you begin to reduce the efficacy of the squish band. So this is one gasket here. You're probably going to end up putting 3 or 4 gaskets, or even 5 gaskets, to bring it down, to bring the compression ratio down to something that's considered, you know, reasonable for these engines. So when you start adding and piling on all these gaskets, you decrease the efficacy of this of the whole squish band, and that eliminates the purpose of you buying, for some people, buying these Puch heads. And not to mention, if you decide not to go with the head gasket route, you may be tempted to change the port timings of your engine. If you once again, you know, have a little knowledge about how these two-stroke engines work, so you would be tempted, you know, to maybe raise the base by adding, you know, thicker base gaskets. But that's gonna change the timing of your engine. So what you'll be forced to do now is to kind of adjust the ports on the side of the wall. And this is why we recommend that if you do decide to go with a Puch head, you have some, quite a bit of experience about, working with two-stroke engines and adjusting the port timings of these engines, because that's exactly what these push heads would force you to do. You want to be able to take full advantage of the squish band, which is, let me reiterate that it's this small distance from the top of the head to this weird looking concavity shape there. It's a really thin area that helps flow of combustion. The more you open it up, that's the less effective it is. So that means that the more head gaskets you put, the less effective this thing will become. So unless you're prepared to adjust the port timings of your engine, which means you may have to file or grind away or even add some material so that the piston would uncover the ports in the cylinder at different times, we really wouldn't advise you going with these push heads. If you can get them to work, then great. It's definitely, it seems in theory that it can be a much better upgrade because of the better heat dissipation, because it's like so much thicker aluminum. So much more aluminum that you're getting, in addition to having this squish band available. From our testing, it seems like the slant head is a fantastic option. Honestly, on the engines that we've tried swapping, the push head and the slant head has done substantially much better in terms of reaching higher RPMs and at the same time, maintaining a reasonable temperature. And that's probably because of the fact that this one, as you can see here, has something like 20. It can contain something like 20% more fuel, which is actually which is probably important when considering the differences between the two. So if you have a traditional head, probably upgrade to a slant head if you could. Those are a little better. Yep. So all we have to say about the push head versus a slant head. For the experienced user who has knowledge of port timings, then you probably, if you want to have that undertaking, then I would definitely go for the push head here. About $30, and wonderfully machined, great weight. But for the average user, or maybe a little above average user, you probably want to stick with the slant head. They're fantastic, serves its purpose fine, and yeah, that's all we have to say. So thanks a lot for giving me your attention, guys. If you have any questions, tips, or comments, leave them in the comment box. We look forward to hearing from you guys. And for more information on how to modify your engine, check out our high performance tips section at JuiceMotoParts.com. And as always, get juiced.